big sound in a small town, far away from the big city lights, making music every night. Good music with all our friends. Tell everybody, tell your mama and them. We're going out and we're getting down. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm Jimmy Faden. I play drums and harmonica.
I'm Jeff Hanna, and I sing and pick a guitar.
Yeah, that's good. And these guys play in the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band for the people who do not know.
Yep.
And well, while we're on that, so we've gone from Nitty Gritty Dirt Band to the Dirt Band to back to it.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, it's the longevity of what you guys do.
But Jimmy and I are the OGs. We started this thing together back in 1966. Me and my buddy Faden over here.
Yeah, and there was a period where saying Nitty Gritty Dirt Band was difficult, so we just simplified it. Now we're back to being able to say it again.
Yeah, I guess that social media has something to do with it, or
well, no, I think what happened was when we dropped. You know, it was an era of where people called the Grateful Dead the Dead.
True.
They called the Rolling Stones the Stones. Perfect example right there, right?
Yep.
So we didn't think it would confuse people, and it sort of did.
Yeah.
So when we had the opportunity, we made a couple of records. It was about a 4 or 5 year period as the Dirt Band.
Right.
And actually had a couple of hits during that era. But then we tacked it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did get recognized as best new band.
We did.
Oh, really?
Cashbox, Billboard, yeah, literally. Yeah.
Really? That's true?
That's true.
Y'all pulling my leg, right?
No. It was like 17 years in. It was like best new artist.
Oh, that's hilarious.
We pulled a got him. We got him.
That is pretty funny. So, all right, let's talk about. It's been 50 years now with the Will the Circle.
50 years ago, this year it was released. We actually recorded it in the summer of 1971.
Okay.
At Woodland Sound Studios in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it came out the following spring. So yeah, we're right at it, 50-year mark.
So, how did that come about exactly?
Got to give a lot of credit to Earl Scruggs.
Yeah.
But there's a little background to it as well, as we had done this album called Uncle Charlie and His Dog Teddy.
Yeah.
And it had what became this big hit, Mr. Bojangles.
Right.
Our friend Jerry Jeff Walker.
Yeah.
And but also on that album, we'd done an instrumental called Randy Lynn Rag,
Right.
which Earl Scruggs wrote, and it was named after his son Randy.
Yeah.
Right? And John McEwen played his butt off on that. He played a great version of it, and it was a fun record. So, cut forward to a few months after the record came out, our soon-to-be friend Gary Scruggs, Earl's oldest son, was in a record store, and he'd heard Bojangles on the radio, so he picked up the Uncle Charlie album, and he looked at the titles, and he went, well, look at that. They did Randy Lynn Rag.
Yeah.
So he took it home and played the record for his brothers, Steve and Randy, who both loved our music, thank goodness. And then he got his dad and he said, hey, check this out, Dad. This guy is playing, this band recorded Randy Lynn Rag. And Earl was really taken by the way John played that 5-string.
Yeah.
So Gary, who was a student at Vanderbilt University and friends of the deans, set up a meet and greet. We didn't even know about it. We're just playing there. And somebody said, oh, by the way, Earl Scruggs and his family are coming tonight. And we're all like,
Yeah, really.
what?
Yeah.
Especially John. He's
Yeah.
like, duh, you know, in the presence of greatness. So after the show, we got to hang out and we picked and talked. And we spent a couple hours with the Scruggs family. And on his way out the door, Earl said, well, if you boys would ever like to get in the studio and do some recording, I'd sure like that.
Yeah.
And he walked out, and we were like, what just happened?
Yes, and prior to that, we had played with Merle Travis in LA at the Ash Grove, and this was another
Yeah.
Piece of
piece
that.
of
Sure.
the puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I can
It
see
was
that,
just
yeah.
like started seeing people or meeting people that had been musically important to us in person.
Yeah.
and getting a chance to talk with them about their influence on us.
Yeah.
It was great.
Well, it's also, that's a big bridge between, at the time, rock and roll and bluegrass. I mean, technically, at that time, I guess you guys would not have been pop and you would not have been country. That was rock and roll, really.
We were straight up rock and roll.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, it
We were
was.
touring with Aerosmith and
Sure.
ZZ Top. That was our typical day job.
I mean, that's the bridge. That record is the bridge.
Well,
You know?
I think something that was accomplished with that project, and again, Jimmy and I were just happy to be there, just to say that out loud. You know, the fact that our fans, a younger generation, might have been exposed to and been turned on to these amazing artists that, you know, were further down the road and might have been in some ways, you know, sort of forgotten in the annals of, because music,
Yeah, it does.
short memory in music.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But it was so cool, and the bonus for us was we became friends with all those folks.
Indeed.
You know, Doc Watson, who by the way, Jimmy and I idolized Doc when we were kids as well.
Yeah.
Mother Maybelle Carter, who
I spent a lot of time hanging out with Merle. We played a bunch of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we would invariably be on a small festival of some sort, you know, 4 or 5 times
Right.
together over the summer together.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we just,
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess, ended up hanging out.
I mean, that's too cool.
We hit it off.
This podcast, I air this podcast normally out of the Earl Scruggs Center in Shelby, which is really cool. I mean,
which I really want to see, by the way.
oh, you need to
Really
because
excited
it has. Plus, one of the cool things that no one will tell you about, Bernie Taupin. You know, guys know Bernie Taupin. Bernie has a piece of artwork there,
Oh, how cool is
which
that?
is weird, but it honors Earl Scruggs, who was one of his.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so which, you
Well,
know,
Earl, of course, recorded with Elton.
Yeah.
Which is that's the thing. I think that one of the great accomplishments to me of Earl Scruggs's was that he was such a forward-thinking, non-judgmental, inclusive musician. You know, as long as the music was great, he didn't care.
and you know, I guess his sons, I'm sure, helped influence him to, or at least introduce him to new music.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. But his attitude was just like, you know, and I mean, I think it's that kind of thinking that opened the door for all of the kind of big umbrella newgrass festivals
Right.
that followed,
Yeah.
like Merle Fest,
Yeah.
and like Hardly Strictly,
Sure.
of course.
Yeah.
Telluride, for
Yeah.
example, and then
Yeah.
now we got this, which is fantastic.
This is, you know, it's been a good lineup to a good cross section of music, which is kind of what he enjoys, you know.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so I figured that was a pretty special project for you guys. I mean,
That was fantastic.
It's,
And again, it opened the door to, you know, we did 2 more Circle records.
yeah, I was going there too. That spawned 2 more.
That Randy Scruggs produced.
Right.
And that was such a great relationship, you know. We miss those boys. It's weird sitting here at this festival without
is.
Gary or Randy.
Yeah, you know, they
Keep looking over my shoulder, you know.
they would spend time in Shelby, of course, and so that's really cool.
Yeah.
So how many years have the 2 of you been playing together now?
This is year 56.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's,
You know,
I
Jimmy
mean,
and I have spent more time with each other than anybody else in our lives. In other
Yeah,
words,
unless you happen to be in prison with someone. You know.
yeah. I mean, really.
you know, riding around on that tour bus, you know.
Yeah.
And, it's amazing. You know?
So you guys get along. I'm taking that.
We do.
Yeah, you know, if we're not, we just kind of go
well,
our separate ways.
yeah.
It's like,
It
you know,
works.
there's always room on the bus.
Yeah. Is it still as much fun after all these years?
I think it's more fun.
I think it's more fun right now. We back in 2018, we got 2 new guys in
Right.
the band. That one of them being my son,
Right.
Jamie, who plays guitar and sings, and Ross Holmes, who's an amazing fiddle player.
Yes, he is.
That has a bluegrass background with Cadillac Sky.
Right.
And then later he played with Mumford and Sons and Bruce Hornsby as well. So that was Jamie and Ross lived next door to each other.
Right.
Oh,
So
really?
when you talk about things that just happen, like drop out of the sky.
Right.
After John left our band at the end of 17, we had some dates on the books, and we're like, what are we going to do? We need to get a guy.
Yeah, Jamie said,
Jamie said,
Dad, call Ross.
Call Ross.
Oh.
Exactly.
And then Jeff said, do you mind if Jamie comes to Florida on the bus? And I said, well, heck no. And he said, well, what about come play some songs with us? And I said, sure. So he's been on stage ever since I'm just checking this out, watching Ross play with you guys
Right.
first show.
So that's how you brought him in was
It
with
happened
Ross.
really
It just
naturally.
worked out.
Well, Jimmy and I and Bob Carpenter, who's
Yeah,
our
Bob,
other
yeah.
business partner, has been with the band for
Sure, Bob's been with you guys a long
great.
time.
Yeah. We started talking about let's try to get another guy that's a vocalist and
Right.
kind of frontman guy. And Jamie, we had like a family meeting because I'm his dad and we don't want to ruin the relationship,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And he said, let me just ride the bus. And when we got out there, Jimmy and Bob said to Jamie, get on stage.
Yeah. It
I
was a
thought we'd
perfect
bring him
fit.
out for the encore or something.
Right.
He's like, so.
And Jamie had done, I think, 4 shows at one time. I think John
Oh, back in 2000.
yes, he was missing, and we needed an extra guy, and Jamie just came out.
Ibby had left the band.
Oh, yeah,
and
Ibby, yeah.
And we got this date that we couldn't turn down. It was in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, you can't turn that down. No.
And it was like they wanted to hire the Dirt Band, and here we were. We're like, well, yeah.
They don't know who's in the band.
We could do that.
But Jamie.
And Jamie came and played. Jamie plays drums and guitar and sings. And my wife Matracia actually sat in with us too.
Oh, yeah.
And did some of her stuff. 'Cause she's a great.
Yeah, she
songwriter.
is. Go aahead, give her a little plug while you're here too.
Matracia
Yeah.
Berg.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
fabulous songwriter.
Yeah, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
She's a big deal. Great singer too.
Yeah.
So there we were. It was so natural. The only commitment that we had to sort of honor was Jamie was playing in Gary Allen's band.
Yeah.
Gary Allen, great country singer.
Yeah.
Jamie had been with Gary for 12 years.
Ooh.
And he sat Gary down and said, man, I've got this opportunity to play with my dad. And Gary said, you got to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when Gary started playing music, he was in a family band with his dad, and he totally got it.
I think Ross, who had been playing with Bruce Hornsby at the time, kind of had a similar situation. He said, Bruce,
Yeah.
should I go out with the Dirt Band? He says, yeah.
Yeah, I go
And he
out.
was on a long break, so
Yeah.
it fit well in Bruce's
Yeah, the
life.
sequence of everything was perfect.
It was perfect.
And
yeah.
what works good with that is his stuff fits what you do. I mean, probably better than it fit. Bruce's. It probably fits what you guys did better than what he was doing with Bruce.
It's certainly natural, But
Yeah.
Ross is a man. He can hang in any room. He's like Jerry.
Yeah.
He can walk in a room. It's like they playing rock and roll. They playing reggae.
We're good to
They
go.
playing classical music. Here I go. Boom.
All right. Can we talk about the new project? The
Dirt does Dylan.
yes, we can. Yes, Dirt does.
Yes,
Dylan.
we're the Dirt.
We're the Dirt.
You're right.
And Dylan is the Dylan.
Right.
So how did you go about deciding which? There's just such a huge catalog.
Well, that was it. Hundreds of songs, and literally we all just went, they're all great.
Yeah,
The challenge for us was, since we're not a solo entity, we're a band, and
Right.
we like harmonies and sharing vocals, and we've got 4 lead singers on this album. We wanted to find stuff that
Fit well.
That fit well. It was that simple.
Yeah.
We started with a list. It was about 80 songs.
I wondered how many. Yeah.
Yeah, but then we got in the studio and started playing them. And we had about 40 at that point. And we started playing and it was like, great song, but it's not
Doesn't
sticking
fit.
to the wall.
Doesn't fit. Doesn't work for us.
And that's how we ended up with the 10 we got, And we started the album just before the curtain came down for COVID.
Yeah.
Literally, we cut 9 tracks, 8 of which we kept.
Right.
And then came back in 21 and cut 2 more songs, Don't Think Twice and Forever Young, and mixed the album with our friend Ray Kennedy, by the way.
Yeah, I know Ray.
Great,
Yeah, I know Ray. Yeah.
I go back to Steve Earle, Lucinda Williams. He did Car Wheels on.
He did. Yeah.
I mean, he's a Grammy Award-winning
Yeah.
engineer and by the way, a great singer-songwriter and guitar player.
True, I agree that he is.
Yeah.
That's one of those people that fly under the radar. I mean, musicians know him. Of course, people in Nashville know him. But he's a guy that's missed by, well, most people.
His attitude in the studio was so encouraging. It's like, you know, with a band, you got to be a referee and a cheerleader, and you got to be as objective as you can,
Yeah.
and not sort of try to make somebody feel smaller than somebody.
Yeah.
He's brilliant at that, and he's a really genuinely good human. You know, we all love the guy.
That's
And
good.
his records sound so good.
Oh, it is
We
great sound.
Yeah, we have been talking about getting together for quite a while.
Quite a while.
And waiting and waiting
Right.
and waiting. I actually had conversations with him just because I met him when he was out playing as a musician.
Yeah.
And I said, Ray, what are you doing? I said, "Come, would you ever want to produce us?" He goes, heck yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So that kind of seed had been sitting there for a long time. So when we finally got to it, we were ready.
Yep.
And he was ready. And
Well, you know, one of the things about your sound, for the most part, it's been a consistent sound. I mean, you know, it evolves a little bit, but I think there's nothing better as a group, and I guess that helps with the longevity.
Identifiable.
Yes,
I
yes, it
agree. I
is.
agree with that.
yeah.
I mean, and for so many years, you were your own identity. I mean, there was no one actually out there doing what you guys were doing.
Well, you know, we
And still there's nobody out there doing what you guys were doing.
thank you. There's nobody as old as we are. That's true.
yeah.
I think maybe some of the younger players see the merit in our approach, and then they bring their own roots to it.
To it,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I think essentially when you look at the Dirt Band, you go, okay, there's an electric guitar and a fiddle. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a pocket musically that I can't describe that we do, you know, and
It's the Dirt Band.
it's the dirt. Yeah, it's just this thing, and it's you know, I've mentioned before that one of the things we love about Dylan is with his association with the Byrds and association with the band.
With the band.
as well.
Yeah.
He had a way of he played a real respectful but cool. He loved that kind of California country rock thing, you know.
Yeah.
Started with folk rock. You
Sure.
think about Mr. Tambourine Man with the Birds of Course,
Yeah.
you know. But later on, You Ain't Going Nowhere,
Right.
which was like the big bang
Yeah.
for country rock, really. That song.
Little footnote here. I actually owned Mr. Tambourine Man's house.
Oh, really?
Bruce Langhorne.
Yeah, Bruce Langhorne.
Where was this at?
in Hawaii.
In Hawaii?
Yeah, very strange.
That is
little-
really good.
Jimmy had
strange
this little-
coincidence.
It was a macadamia farm.
Yeah, little.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
tiny little farm.
That is really cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's
crazy.
totally crazy.
And that's kind of the way the music business works sometimes.
It's,
I mean,
it's you know,
Dirt band music for sure.
Naomi Judd, bless her heart, used to have this great line. She'd say, "It's a big old world, but I hate to paint it." No,
Yeah.
wait, was it a small world? Oh, shoot.
I don't remember.
It's a small world, but I hate to paint it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
that's
it.
pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can. This podcast we can talk about anything, and I can edit things we don't want to talk
Well,
about.
just I hate flubbing something like that. But this festival, just even today, you know, it's one of the things we love about these things is it's a family reunion.
Yeah.
So we just ran into Sean Camp and Lisa Stewart backstage, who we hadn't seen. I saw Daryl Anger. It's just
Yeah.
like, man, and of course, brother Jerry Douglas.
He does wonderful things.
He's been like the fifth Beatle on a bunch of our records.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
And actually, Sean Camp was on the short list to replace a missing person in our lineup.
Jimmy
really?
Ibbotson from
Really? Yeah. Well, listen, Sean's fabulous. He's actually playing an additional sit by himself here today. He might have Jerry probably will play with him or something, but someone got laryngitis. He said, "I'll fill the spot."
Oh, Sean is he's so
And, you
talented.
know,
He did a whole set with us at Merlefest one year.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's a very talented guy
He's a super talent.
that flies under the radar
And we've
too.
recorded his songs. We have Sean Camp songs.
Oh yeah, you have, hadn't
Oh
you?
yeah, Tulsa sounds like trouble.
Yeah. Tulsa Sounds Like Trouble. Yeah, I forgot that was his song. Yeah,
we go.
He co-wrote that. I shouldn't leave the co-writer off with. Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
you can say it. It's okay.
that's okay. No, I got to remember his name though, because he's a great writer from Nashville. wrote, it'll come to me.
Okay.
I'll say it when I remember.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
When there's a little spot, it'll pop up.
Yeah.
Just like all these little things that happen in our life.
I mean, it's really cool how that has over the years, though. Did you envision it lasting this long when it started?
Heck no.
Oh, no, we thought if we hit a decade, we'd be like, man, why would you want to do something, and then the old, don't trust anybody over
Right.
30. Well, when we started, we were teenagers, Jimmy and I, so we figured, and we got to that milestone and went, oh, well, I guess we're 30.
Yeah, you survive these moments that, are somehow predetermined, big change in your
Sure.
life as they come along,
Yeah.
People talk about going through doors
Right.
and changes and big revelations, and now it's the next thing. We just kind of bumped through there and kept going, and,
Because the band has been big with horns even at times, right?
Well, right, yeah, we had a great sax player named Al Garth
Yeah.
play with us. In fact, we had two guys that were from the Loggins and Messina band.
Right.
Yeah.
Merle Briganti on drums, and Al played horn, he played violin.
Yeah.
He played a little bit of
Al played
keyboard.
with the Eagles.
Yeah.
He was with the Eagles for a long
Yeah.
time. He played
Yeah.
Poco,
That's another thing too. As a group, if you break it down to the core, the two of you, it's been a lot of. Sometimes y'all interchange parts too. I mean, you're not strictly a drummer,
No.
and also
Oh,
sing.
and I used to play drums too. That was
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was a point. There was a period where three of us played drums,
Right.
and three of us played lead guitar.
Right.
Plus, you'll sing a whole song, and you'll sing. I mean, it's not one singer,
No.
which is wonderful.
Here's an
We
interesting
switched it
point about that. That's one of the things that Randy Scruggs brought up when we met them after the show at Vanderbilt. He said, "That's very interesting, Jeff, where you stop singing the lead and sing the harmony on the chorus."
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that is really cool though.
It was like, you heard that?
Did that come about because someone not being able to sing a part?
No, it
Maybe
wasn't so much about singing a part. It's just that the blend.
it was just a natural blend thing.
Once in a blue moon, when Jimmy Ibbotson and I were singing together, once in a blue moon, I'd be singing the melody and he would go above me. But the blend was just a little weirder if I switched and handed the melody off to him and then I went up to the Phil Everly part.
Yeah, the filler. Yeah, exactly.
It just, we hit the sweet spot and it was really cool.
I got to listen to them do that, and I would always go, yeah, that's right.
That's what, see,
And we really fooled people with it. That's what we really
Yeah.
loved.
Not Randy.
The last verse of Mr. Bojangles, Ibby's singing the melody.
Yeah.
I'm singing the harmony.
that's unusual and pretty cool.
We did it on Fishing in the Dark too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the choruses, I sang lead and Jimmy went down.
that's pretty
There
cool.
you go.
Well, we also have seen people like, I always go back to the Beatles, but Paul and John passed that back and forth
Yeah, they
all the
did.
time.
Yeah, they did.
The band.
The band is another.
Oh,
yeah,
Levon and Rick and
right.
Richard.
Yeah,
all
they
the
go
time.
back and forth.
Yep.
Which is, it really makes it a rich record when people do that, or even live.
There's bands that I love, like Aerosmith, for example.
Right.
For the most part, the Stones, for example, where you got a lead singer, frontman cat. But it's also so cool. I mean, something I love about the Eagles,
Yeah.
is having multiple
Yeah.
lead singers.
Yeah,
Vocals for days.
sure. And I think that keeps an audience interested too, as opposed to, one singer, just one singer.
Well,
somewhat
it all depends. Everybody's got a different dynamic and paradigm, and ours is like, we're kind of a six-headed monster.
Yeah. Well,
A good one,
could-
a benevolent monster.
I could talk with you guys all day, but they're giving me the cutoff, and I do appreciate you guys
Okay.
coming by. I'd love to do this again. If you ever get near Shelby, I'll be glad to tour you around the Earl Scruggs Center.
We have a lot of people over in North Carolina, over here, I should say, that we'd love to come and take
Sure.
the tour. That'd be really
Well, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you guys
Thank you
again.
so
Thank much. you.
Always one of my
I
favorites.
appreciate it, buddy.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Make all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung, and may you stay